So I've been a teacher for a very long time, and I'm based in Victoria.
Yep.
And when I first was doing my study, one of the things that we had to do is we had to have a vision of what sort of, for me, becoming an early childhood teacher was really a thing of where can I make the biggest difference in the world?
Yep.
And if you're going to make a difference and you want to, being with young children is the space where you're going to make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then for me, then when you're asked where, to explain what sort of environment would that be? What would your ideal teaching environment be?
Yeah.
For me, I always, in my head, had this image of children learning in the bush, in nature.
Okay.
So that's, for me, probably my big vision was to know that the work that we do with children is just so absolutely important as educators, that we change the world through our work, and that the best place to do that is in nature.
Lovely, yeah. And that's a beautiful vision, and I think there are many educators that aspire to that vision too.
When I first began teaching, using nature at all in your program was seen as being a bit out there.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there weren't educators who have been using natural materials for a very long time, but I know that when I first started to work at a centre, the service would go around the whole yard every day and remove every stick that had been blown in.
Yes.
That was part of the job because sticks were seen as a hazard.
Yeah.
And for an educator like me who wanted to introduce sticks, that was a slow process. So I would bring in sticks and people would say those sticks are too big. So I'd bring in a stick that was smaller, and I'd say, those sticks are a bit too splintery, and I would sand the sticks down.
Wow.
And so what happened is that over time, sticks became accepted in the space because I saw children as competent and capable. I knew that they would be fine with sticks, and I knew that they could learn how to use sticks safely.
Yeah.
And so from my very first teaching, where I was introducing small sticks as a space, what ended up happening is that the culture of the places I worked in slowly shifted. So it wasn't a big sudden change.
Yep.
And now I'm working out in the bush, in nature, and as well as where I have a home service as well.
Yeah.
And I have a community of parents and children who will see great sticks when they're out, or they've done some pruning at their house, and they'll bring their sticks into the service.
Wow.
So I've gone from a shift from getting every stick out of the place to now families
everyone's bringing all of their
in.
sticks in. That's wonderful.
So there's been a big shift. But that doesn't happen straight away. So some of the challenges are those challenges are often about perceived risks.
Yep.
And even with a lot of our regulatory bodies. So in Victoria, like many other areas, you've got authorised officers who potentially can come into your service and make a judgment on what they see. Now they have the regulations to look at, and they will often look at things, and they always have at my service in the past as well. They see a log lying on the ground, and they see a potential tripping hazard.
Yeah.
And that would be written down as a discussion point. And I think that for a lot of educators, when an authorised officer writes down a discussion point, they think, oh, that's something that has to be removed. I have to remove that log.
Yeah.
When the reality is, if the log was there for a good reason,
Yeah.
perhaps it should stay there. But it's up to us as educators to say, well, actually, that log is there because I want children to balance on it. I want them to step over it.
Yeah.
I want them to start to make decisions around that log. I don't want it's there intentionally.
Yeah.
But it's up to us as educators
Yes.
to be able to say that. And authorised officers do listen,
Yes.
but we don't have to necessarily, as soon as there's a discussion, we think, oh, we've got to change everything. If we know it's right for children, we should keep it. However, if that log has just ended up on the path and it was by mistake and because you were lazy and you didn't want to move it, and the authorised officer's written down its potential tripping hazard, that's because it's a potential tripping hazard and you've got to get it out of the way.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that educators have to be informed, so they have to really know their regulations.
Yeah.
We have to know our frameworks that
Yeah.
we're working with. We have to understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
So when we introduce sticks, we've got to understand that there are certain risks with having sticks. If you talk
Yeah.
to a paediatric eye surgeon, they'll tell you that
There
sticks do cause eye damage. So
Yes.
it's not a fallacy when they say, careful, you'll take your eye out with that stick. But as educators, then we have to say, what's our role in this now?
Yeah.
Children have sticks in their life and they're going to continue for a long, long time. What we need to do is we need to be able to change as educators, we have to teach children how to use sticks safely,
Yeah.
don't we? So it's having that knowledge and then that expert knowledge that we have of children too. So we also
Yep.
know, as educators, we know that young children barely know where the end of their arm is, and if you give them a big stick and they'll spin around, they'll whack you in the face, won't they?
Yes.
And it's not out of any malice
No,
or anything.
no.
It's just that they don't have
Lack
that
of control.
awareness of their body. So
Yeah.
as experts in our field, as educators,
Yeah.
we're able to use that knowledge. So using sticks in play or any nature in play, when it's combined with our expert knowledge as teachers, we're able to do
Yeah.
those things.